Wow.
Wow, this is some really deep stuff.
I don't know what just happened, but something happened inside of me. Something snapped, something.
I wasn't expecting that either.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's all right. It's beautiful.
Monster is like really small, but it had to become that to stop me.
And then the hurt child became present when you mentioned it.
And I didn't realize this until now.
There were things that I didn't remember until now.
Funny, I haven't seen that before.
It feels like I'm the monster. I'm kind of seeing images of things, of a world where they can exist. This clarity brings all kinds of answers.
It's clear. She hugged me and then went back to her place, I guess, in my heart. Oh, it wants to come out. It wants to bippity boppity boop Cinderella me. She's melted into my chest. It's ooey gooey.
All week been finishing things, cleaning up more, started eating vegetables again last week. And it kind of just started happening. It's almost like I just finished going through a meditation session.
I feel light. When you hit that first joint, in the morning, and
I actually feel a lot more awake.
So do you have any parts that you know that you'd like to get to know better or change your relationship with?
I've got, I've been putting on some weight lately, and I've got this part that is really, it's just kind of like compulsive eating. And I tried working with it a little bit on my own in the past, and I got the feeling that, it's like a deep survival instinct, like I'm going to die if I don't, keep stuffing my face, even though I was never short of food growing up or anything.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I want to try and work with that one today.
Okay. And you could say more about how it shows up and when and where, or if you want, if you already feel like you can identify where it is, where that part shows up in or around your body.
Generally, it only usually comes up while I'm eating, and it's mostly I just need to keep putting food in my mouth. And so I would say it's a really orally focused.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So yeah, just see if you can kind of turn your attention towards it now as a part. And just check in with how you're feeling towards it as you notice it.
It's weird because, when I am eating and can feel myself, with, I guess what you would call this part, it feels almost like it's panicked about it, which, makes me feel like, just like that compulsion. But otherwise, I don't like how on the other end, after the fact, I've put on 5 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
So that's frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, would you say that there's like a part of you that wants to, get rid of this part or push it away?
I would say so.
Yeah. Okay. So if you can, just try to turn your attention to that part, the one that wants to push it away, and see if you can ask it for space just in this conversation, just for a little while you get to know this part that drives you to eat like that. You getting any response from it?
I'm trying to. I've been having trouble with visualization lately.
Mm-hmm. Well, don't try to force it. We're just any parts that are, you have this part that has this overeating tendency or this kind of compels you to do that. And then I imagine you have lots of parts that are responding to that, right? There's a panicky feeling. There's a want it to go away. There's maybe this guilt or whatever afterwards when you're darn, and so we want to get all of those parts to just relax and soften, just so we can get to know this part. And so they don't have to vanish. They don't have to really do anything except just settle a little bit and see if we can get them to allow us some space to talk to this part.
It's funny because I haven't had lunch yet and I'm starting to feel a little hungry.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Any movement there?
I'm still just trying to focus on the part, but I think if we get moving, I can get a little better focus. It's generally how it goes for me.
And I think ultimately the question is, are you feeling curious about this part? Do you want to get to know it in an open way? That's what we're going for.
I do usually, I noticed last time I was working with my therapist, with the part I was able to discover with her, it took a little while for me to get more into that self energy.
Sure.
And then after, I hit that point, it was smooth sailing, but it took some build up to get there.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything that that works for you to help you get to that place with this part or any part?
Oh, if I see a crying child.
Yeah, I have a similar
reaction.
Yeah, when I see any child, I get into some self energy there.
Yeah, it really brings out my my maternal parts, and that's a really smooth segue.
Yeah.
And I think when I was trying to see this part a minute ago, I did see some little figure kind of hunched over, little bug-eyed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so just do anything you can to deepen your access to that part. Let it know that you're curious about it, that you just want to get to know it a little better. And then try asking it what it wants you to know.
Not getting much communication yet.
Okay. So this might help to put yourself in that scenario. Think about maybe the last time you were in this kind of place of overeating. And see if you can kind of conjure that feeling.
I know that carbs and stuff really trigger this part too.
Mm-hmm.
Because I really love carbs.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to stuff my face with mashed potatoes and rice.
Mm-hmm. There might be a scenario in which you're feeling more that way than other times. There might be something that kind of provokes it. And so just see if you can kind of think back on a recent time when that felt like that was, triggered or really up for you. See if you can kind of sense what that was like. Maybe again, going back to the sensations in the body, is there, do you feel like you're being pushed or pulled or some vibe or some color or some energy that you're feeling when that's happening?
Yeah, it is like I just keep putting, my hand just keeps moving even when, some other part of me is just like, no, stop. Like we're already full.
Yeah.
It's just like hand to mouth.
Mm-hmm. And so again, when you're focusing on that part, how are you feeling towards it? Just right now.
Kind of just like I wish I could stop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That makes sense.
And it's like I know that, physically I have control over my body, but it's just that compulsion is so strong sometimes. And then I'll go back for seconds when I really am already full.
Yeah. Maybe we should hear from that part that wishes you could stop, or that part that wants to push back on it so much.
Mm-hmm.
If that's at the front of your mind, or if that's getting your attention, or doesn't want to step back, doesn't want you to be curious and open to this part, which is fine. We can get to know it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So what else does it have to say? What else does it want you to know?
The vibe I got was that we're going to get fat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's the message this part's sending you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's the fear behind that? What's it afraid of happening if that were to happen? If it didn't get your attention that way, if it didn't say, hold on, we're going to get fat. Anything?
Getting lost something, but nothing directly verbal yet. Just a kind of like a vaguely female voice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just let it know that you feel, you can feel it, that you'd like to hear more, that you're open to whatever it wants to tell you about that, and that you want to understand it. Anything?
It's weird because I just now kind of heard then we'd be ugly,
Mm-hmm.
which has never been like a super, well, it's been a concern for me in the past, but never anything that like dominated my thoughts. So it's
Yeah.
interesting that I got that.
It is interesting. Does it make sense to you that this part feels that way?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So just let it know that makes sense to you.
Now that I think about it, now that that comes up, I have been having, I've actually been having some self-confidence issues since I have put on the weight.
Mm-hmm.
When I make that connection, now it makes sense.
Yeah, this part is noticing that and wants to avoid that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So see if you can show it some appreciation for its intention. It doesn't want you to feel that way. And you might let it know that your intention is to get to know it, but it's also to get to know this other part that it's in this tension with. And hopefully through getting to know them, you'll be able to respond in the ideal way and give them what they need and take some of the burden away from them so they don't have to work so hard.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else you're noticing or that your intuition is telling you to go towards? I'm doing a lot of talking and I just don't want to
No, you're fine.
take you off a trail if you're on it.
You're good. I was thinking about how that first part, the overeating part, is really connected to my mouth,
Mm-hmm.
and the part that's worried about gaining weight and being unattractive is really focused on my belly. So they're,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And if you have this part's attention and you want to keep going with it a little bit, you could try asking what it's afraid of. Like, what would be so bad about that? What would be so bad about it said you being ugly? What's the concern behind that?
Man. It said that no one will love us.
There you go.
Which is just so extreme.
Okay, just stay with it though.
Okay.
It's extreme, but does it make sense to you? Can you see why this part feels that way?
I do, but it's just like, I never actually think that far. I think, only as far as, my romantic partner is concerned.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but that's the experience that this part's having, so.
Right, yeah.
And it came from somewhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to validate for you that though that might feel extreme or feel like, well, where did that come from? I think that's always the exile. That's what's behind all of our protective parts, is the fear of not being loved.
Yep.
That's why they're all so busy.
Oh yeah. I've met a couple exiles.
Right.
And they always, whenever I am able to make visual contact with a part that's either an exile or exile adjacent, they always just look so freaked out all the time.
Yeah. So this part's trying to protect you and protect that exile or keep that feeling away.
Mm-hmm.
So that you don't have to go around thinking, uh-oh, I might not be loved.
Right.
It wants to prevent all that. So again, just see if you can just show it appreciation for that job that it's doing. You might ask it how long it's been doing that job, or if it likes doing that job.
I don't think it likes doing that job.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a pleasant feeling. And that was just sort of an immediate response I got to that.
Yeah. What would it rather be doing with its energy if it didn't have to do that job?
I got the image of me drawing as a kid, like in elementary school.
Yeah. Anything else?
I mean, I kind of got a creative vibe at first, and then it showed me that because I used to draw all the time, and I kind of phased out of it after high school. But yeah, no, that's about it as far as that goes.
How old does this part think that you are? You can just ask it and wait for the answer.
I had to ask a couple times, and it just kept saying 8 over and over.
Yeah, okay. Is that about the same as the scene where you see yourself drawing?
I mean, somewhere around that age.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember. I don't even remember what grade I was when I was 8.
Yeah. Second grade, maybe.
Okay, yeah, that seems about right, because I was thinking I was thinking of my intermediate school, which is 3rd to 5th grade. So, but I was thinking much closer to 3rd grade. Was the image I got.
Go ahead and update it on your real age. Just let it know that you're not 8 anymore. Do you have any response to that?
Yeah, it's given me that feeling like when you're 15 years old and you think that, oh my God, a 23-year-old, you're so old. It's given me that kind of feeling.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
It's like kind of a, wow, it's been a long time, I guess.
Yeah. You got a whole lot of new tools that you didn't have when you were 8. Mm-hmm. New understandings.
Yeah. And I'm not working out 16 hours a week like I was when I was 8 years old. And that's, why I've been putting on the weight. And it's been, nagging me to go work out. I need to be active. But then I also have a very slothful part that just wants to lay around and doesn't want to get up, doesn't want to get dressed, doesn't want to go to work. And that's definitely in big conflict there as well.
Yeah. I wonder if it was around that age, around 8, when you might have started feeling more pressure to look a certain way, or, getting more cognizant of how do I look and how am I supposed to look and what's ugly, and that becoming more important.
It is because I kind of knew I was a little bit of a funny looking kid. I didn't really fit in with much of anyone else until I started getting older. But I never had much concern around my own body image until, in my mid to late teens.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just because, like I said, I was always working out 16, 20 hours a week.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Gymnastics is a really active sport.
Yeah.
Lots of running around and strength training.
Yeah. So this is the protector part that was saying, don't eat or you'll get fat, you'll get ugly. It has something to do with something coming online at 8, or it had some image of you at 8. And it is a protector part that I'm guessing really doesn't like this part of you that is compelled to eat.
Right. And it's not eating, period, that's an issue. It's just the overeating. Mm-hmm. Once you reach that point where you're like, okay, I've probably had enough. And then you eat a little more and you're like, okay, now I feel full. But then it just gets into, I just keep stuffing my face.
Yeah. Overeating. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
While you have this part's attention, is there anything that it would like for you to do? Is there anything it wants from you going forward?
It wants me to work out.
All right.
And moderate my eating a little better.
Mm-hmm. And how would it feel about you working with these other parts, whether it's the part that overeats, or if there's this perhaps exile that feels like it won't be loved? How does it feel about you working with those parts in a similar way?
Yeah, I would be okay with it.
Cool. Well, I would say thanks to that part for sharing all of that, and it's a lot of insight already, it sounds like.
Oh yeah.
If you want, go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was just gonna say I gave it a little hug and a kiss on the forehead.
Yes.
And it was about the about the size of an intermediate schooler, an elementary schooler.
Yes.
And said, go play, and it ran off.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank
So
you.
I'll leave it up to you now. We could call it a day and pick this up again another time, or if you want, we could try now to jump back to that first part that you would originally come with, which is this overeating part.
Right.
Just see if you are able to make contact with it.
I would like to try.
Great. So we'll go back to again, kind of noticing the feeling that comes up when it's active, how that feels around your body, in your body. Doing anything you can to deepen your access to it.
I don't know if you've heard it in the last 10 minutes, but my stomach's been starting to grow and it's starting to kick up a little bit, I think. Because I'm getting hungry. It wants food.
So see if you can just let it know you're curious about it. You'd like to get to know it. You'd like to see it. You'd like to understand it. Invite it to the conversation. And see what it wants you to know. Just ask it.
I'm still having trouble trying to be verbal with this part. I'm going to have to see if it'll respond somehow else, because I know typically I can either focus visually or auditorily, and I have only had one instance ever where I've gotten both at the same time. And with the last part, I had to focus on audio only. But
yeah, however you can do it.
now I'm getting the image of my stomach being all caved in when I'm trying to focus on my stomach, but because I'm hungry. But this one's like worried about starving.
Yeah, stay with that.
All right.
Worried about starving.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that got a strong response. Yeah, it's really anxious about that.
Okay, just let it know that you see that. You see that anxiety. You feel it.
I'm having to think outside the box a little now, because usually when I visualize, I'll visualize internally. But this one is responding better when I'm thinking about looking down at my stomach outwardly. But it's responding.
So what else does it want you to know? About it, about its situation, about its concerns.
it just keeps showing me like bone imagery.
Yeah.
Linked with like being a skeleton, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I'm interpreting that as it's worried about literally fading away.
Yeah. And are you okay with it showing you that? Like just in this moment, do you feel all right with that?
In getting to know the part, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Great. Just let it know that you're picking up what it's putting down. You'd like to know more. You're okay with what it has to show you. Just stay curious.
I asked it if we could meet up inside, as in like visualize internally, and it was resistant to that for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I just really just focused on making sure I don't starve.
Yeah. Just see what else you can learn about that. You said that you haven't really faced that, right, in your life, like lack of food access. So see what else you can learn about that fear. What's the fear behind? What other fears are connected, or see what else you can learn about that fear. What's behind it?
I actually like mentally pulled away a curtain and I saw like again me as a kid like running on a treadmill. So I think this is about my metabolism when I was younger.
Okay.
And that's like the whole vibe I've been getting, and it just sort of solidified now.
Okay. Yeah, see if you can just stay with that. Just stay with that image. See what else you notice about it.
I walked up to the kid on the treadmill, and the kid on the treadmill is crying.
Okay. What's going on there?
Now this little kid is worried about getting in trouble with the coaches if it stops running on the treadmill.
Yeah, does that make sense to you?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Let her know that you see that. And that's really hard. Really tough situation to be in.
It was tough.
See if you can figure out if there's anything else she's worried about. Any other concerns that she has, she can show you.
I'm trying to convince this part to step off the treadmill that it's okay. And the visual keeps bouncing around my old gym.
Yeah, I would stay with just trying to understand it, before you do any convincing. You want to let it convince you. Let it show you what it feels, what it thinks, what its world is like, what it's afraid of.
because the gym was its own whole world. It was like the size of a warehouse, basically, a small warehouse. And so that was quite literally its own whole world in there. So when you say that, that hits home a little bit.
Mm-hmm. So what are the other concerns that this part has? There's the coaches being mad.
The only other word that's coming to mind is overworking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Overworking myself.
Yeah.
Burning all those calories. When I was younger, I always had not always, but often I had the image in my mind of like I would eat 4 meals a day,
Mm-hmm.
and I would always, 4 hours of hardcore gym practice, and I would sort of visualize all the food I'd eat and all the energy I'd gained from it being burned away, and I guess sort of emptying the gas tank.
Mm-hmm.
So now that other part makes a whole lot more sense.
Yeah. Is this part aware of you, or does it know who you are? Can you show it your age?
I was able to pick up the part, and it was so strange because I saw me when I was closer to like 6 years old, like 5 or 6. And when I asked it, how old do you think I am? And it said 6.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm trying to tell it that I'm older now, it's just kind of like not getting the message.
Yeah. But you feel like you're in a good space being with it as it is now?
Yeah.
I mean, your feelings towards it are still curious, compassionate.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you might ask just what else it wants to show you about that time. Anything that it can show you that would help for it to trust you or help you understand what it's dealing with.
I'm just getting more imagery from around the gym at different points.
Mm-hmm. And about what age is this part, or was the gym experience starting?
Well, I mean, I was at that gym from the time I was probably about 6 years old until I was like 14.
Uh-huh. So this is like extra.
It was a long time. And
this is all like outside of school, like extracurricular.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was really intense because from 3rd grade until 9th grade, I was competitive. And that was a lot of work, a lot of practice. That was the 16 hours a week.
That's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. I don't know how I would manage it these days.
It's a lot for a kid.
Mm-hmm.
So just see if you can just keep showing that part, that you see that and you feel that. That is a lot.
I'm having a little conversation updating this part and about my life and my boyfriend. And she asked, it was really cute. She was like, and you're going to get married? I was like, yeah, we're going to get married. And it was really cute. And then I said, we're not at the gym anymore and haven't been for about 8 years. And she was like, the coaches were mean. I was like, yeah, the coaches are mean. That's why we're not there anymore.
How would she feel about you going back in that time with her and maybe talking to the coaches or doing
memory? Or physically going to the gym?
If you were to, in memory, just right now, and again, this is if she would like to go back in that time.
Because I had when you said that, I was thinking like go back to gym, and I had actually tried that once, and it, like the thought of it made me panicky.
No, that's not what I'm suggesting. I'm suggesting to take her out of the gym, but first to go back there and to do for her what she needed. If the coaches were mean, what did she need someone to do for her? And see if you can go do that for her now.
When I asked her what she wanted, she said she wanted to stop. And then when I rephrased and said, what did you need? Not just want, but need. And she pointed over to, there used to be a big wall mirror by the floor where we would do our tumbling and routines and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And we just started doing this drill, just jumping up on like one of the, I guess, blocks that we had.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm asking her, why are we doing these? And she said repetition. But I'm confused because we did a lot of repetition.
Mm-hmm. Is there anyone that she would like for you to talk to? And if she doesn't have a necessary answer for this, this can be something that you decide. You know, she doesn't have to participate in it necessarily. So this is kind of there's a lot of ways to do this. Maybe it's something she needs to see you do. Maybe it's something she needs to see you say. Maybe it's something that she doesn't want to see you do or say. but there are things that you can go back and have a little bit of a do-over.
Mm.
And if it's saying something to a coach, saying something to a parent, I mean, when I was with my 9-year-old part, we just dynamited the whole school, you know. we got the good people out, but, you know, there was a...
That's hilarious. But I think I might have had another part that wanted to do something sort of that caliber as well. I can't remember off the top of my head. But
yeah, just stay with this part. See what it is that she needed so that she didn't have these feelings. What did she need someone to do with her or for her? And you be that person for her.
I'm not getting much more answer on that.
Okay.
But I had asked because the conversation in my mind had sort of shifted.
Mm-hmm.
And so I asked, are you the same part as the girl that was on the treadmill? And she kind of hesitated and shook her head no. And I was like, can we go visit that one? And she said, yeah. And we walked over to the room and I wasn't seeing the other part.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just sort of asked, I guess, to the room, you know, what do you need? And I saw like me at 3 different ages, like I guess 6, 8, and like 14 when I quit. And I was just like, whoa. And they all are just kind of need help about it, was what they said.
Yeah,
it's like
they
the
need
one
help
answer that
about
they
it.
all said, yeah.
That's right. That's right.
And then I hugged my 14-year-old because I was like, I know you're so uncomfortable in that leotard. And we put her in some more comfortable clothes and sat down on the floor, and that was that.
Yeah, they all need help about it.
Mm.
So
I never realized when I was younger how, much, how negatively, it had impacted me until, God, probably about 3 or 4 years ago now.
yeah, and it's still impacting them. They're still stuck there.
Oh, yeah. And
that's still their world.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So I would say that's the way forward, is exactly what you discovered, is working with each of those parts, understanding each of their needs, because I'm sure the 6-year-old had different struggles than the 8-year-old and had different struggles than the 14-year-old.
Right.
And they all have their different needs. And they need you to be, again, when you think about doing those do-overs, they needed something from someone. And so taking the time to go back and show them now that you're that person, that you have that love for them and that time for them, and that you're willing to take that time and to understand what they need, what they want, and to do those things for them. That would be the process. And I'm happy to do that with you, and over time. I mean, that's going to takes time to do all that.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm enjoying it.
Well, thanks. I didn't, I always go into session, even with my therapist, not knowing if or how much I'm going to uncover.
Yeah,
and it always surprises the hell out of me.
Me too. Yeah, and you end up in some place, and then you're like, "Wait, what did this have to do with?" But then you can see as you look back. I can see what it has to do with that,
and it makes sense later. Yeah, like with the girl on the treadmill, and that just like all of a sudden, just it made so much sense.
Yeah. So while you have them there, let them know that that's your wish for them, and that's your intention, is to return to be with each of them individually and to give them what they need and to get to know them. Maybe ask if there's anything else that they want you to know now, or if there's any other parts that have any other questions or concerns about your work here.
God, my 14-year-old. I knelt down to the two younger ones and I said, I'm going to meet with you later. And the 14-year-old, I just sort of stood up and looked them in the eye and just had to hug them because I knew they were going to start crying because I was so emotional all the time. And, at the time, I was just so uncomfortable at gym, but I was too scared of, I guess, disappointing my parents that, I didn't tell them I wanted to quit for about a year and a half.
Yeah. It's a lot to carry.
Yeah.
There's just so much going on. I mean, it's tough. It's tough enough just being 14 without gym, without without school,
Being a teenager was the toughest shit I ever been through.
Yeah.
I'm 23 now, and everyone is just like, all the older adults I talk to is at the time they were like, high school, it's the best 4 years of your life. And at the time, and still now, I was like, no, it was the worst 4 years of my life. What are you talking about?
Yeah, me too.
I'm living my best life now. I've got a wonderful man that I'm living with, and we've been together for 3.5 years. And, we plan to get married at some point. I'm the happiest I've ever been. I'm so stable now emotionally. I'm getting financially stable. And it's just, this is the best years of my life.
That's right.
And I just want to share that with them.
That's right. You have that surplus energy and love, and you have your head up now that you can go back and leave no part behind.
Oh, yeah.
Great. Okay. Well, any questions for me? Any feedback or anything?
When do we meet next?
Sure. I'd love to do it again as soon as you want. You got that booking link? You can just use that.
Yep. Yeah.
I'd love to chat.
Yeah, I would love to revisit sometime soon because I know my 14-year-old needs it.
Great.
Other than that, no, I feel like it's a really good stopping place too.
Great. Cool.
Well, thank you.
Yep. Nice meeting you.
It was great meeting you. Thank you.
I hope you have a great rest of your day and talk to you soon.
Yeah. You have a great one, all right?
All right. Bye.
All right. Bye.
Do you want to help bring more self-energy to the world? If you'd like to participate in calls or help out with this project in any way, I'd love to hear your ideas. Join the Discord server or contact me at james@liveifs.com. A huge thanks to our audio engineer, Yvonne, for your care and diligence in editing the calls. To every caller for your courage in sharing some of your parts. And to anyone out there getting to know their internal system, keep going. Who knows? That might be the most selfless, helpful thing you can do for others, and you're the only one who can do it. If you'd like to see us reach the largest audience, we must please the almighty suggestion algorithms at iTunes and YouTube. And they don't care about the power of IFS. They're looking for likes and shares and comments, and the sooner the better. Follow the links in the show notes right here in your podcast player to make your wishes known. And now, a minute of meditation. Or if you prefer, pull over. You can do it in 60 seconds. Just click one of those links. They're right there, and give us a like or a 5-star rating. It would really help. If you think this project is helping people, you're helping people by sharing it. Thank you.